me. You had mentioned Kaplan before, and I'm reminded of it because of this wonderful demonstration of the immanence of God in the text and in seeing God reflected in and reflecting back to us human experience. So Kaplan in his later years began talking about a concept that he called transnaturalism, which was this idea that yes, we are in a naturalistic world, but there is still the possibility of some transcendence within that world, that it's sometimes referred to as holism, that the whole somehow becomes more than the sum of its parts. And this is actually not a strange concept anymore in scientific circles and in scientific writing. And I think that Neil actually pointed us in an interesting direction this way in that book, The Death of Death. Because one of the things, Neil, that you were doing there, as you know, was trying to get us beyond this inherited dualism of body and soul, and this idea that there is the physical world, and if there's any transcendence at all, it's in some ethereal realm. The idea that God is not of an ethereal nature, but is somehow immanent in us and in the world that we inhabit, in the world of our experience, is, I think, one of the keys, not only to see it in the text and to be able to talk about, because on one level, to say that God is somehow accommodating us is not the most inspiring view of God. It's a God who is somehow subservient to us. People have said, I've heard them say on many occasions, why would I worship a God like that? But if you take it in from a different angle, and the idea that God is actually reflected in the miracle that is us, that is inherent in a world that can be reduced down to little particles, and yet when seen large, when seen macroscopically, has the things that you would never predict from the little particles. Moral principles, moral heroism, love, the kinds of things that make life meaningful. These are things that are, in fact, manifestations of that kind of transnaturalism. Art Green has written about evolution shouldn't be any kind of threat to any religious thinker, because evolution, as he puts it, is the greatest religious drama ever told. The little by little unfolding of the divine nature in the world of nature. Neil has actually written about this. I wrote down one of his phrases, which was that in a Heschelian way, he says he has a radical amazement about how biological processes in the brain can lead to a concept of God. And I would say not only to a concept of God, but really reflect a kind of reality of God. Douglas Hofstadter, who writes a great deal about artificial intelligence, puts it in a somewhat different way, but really the same thing. We are miracles, all of us, of self-reference, that somehow we become self-conscious beings in this chain of evolution is one of these great miracles. So it is possible going forward, I think, to recapture a serious idea of God without violating some of the things that we perforce have to have respect for, which is what our science tells us about the world. One of my favorite quotes, I just had occasion to mention it to a colleague yesterday, is something that James Audubon has said to have said once, that when the bird and the book disagree, you always believe the bird. And we can construct all kinds of theologies, but that's why there's the primacy of religious experience. What people actually feel within themselves about a divine presence is more important than what any systematic theology will tell you.